Dan sudah pasti kita ingin menyelami di Gaza sendiri, di kawasan tersebut, dan kita ingin melihat keadaan semasa. Kita bawakan individu yang berada di Rafah pada ketika ini, rakyat Palestin, Dr. Abdullah Waleed, Ahli Majlis Hubungan Antarabangsa Palestin yang bersedia di talian pada ketika ini. Assalamualaikum Dr. Abdullah, can you hear us clearly, Dr. Abdullah?
Yes, Assalamualaikum akhi, and to your viewers, it's my pleasure to be with you.
Dr. Abdullah?
Can hear you. Assalamualaikum.
Dr. Abdullah, okay. I think Dr. Abdullah can hear us as a speaker in the studio. Dr. Abdullah, we, the Malaysians and people around the globe can only understand the situation of people in Gaza through the lens of international news and, of course, through social media. But, of course, the real situation right now in Gaza could be much worse than what we can imagine. Dr. Abdullah, help us to understand, because you are at ground zero, and tell us more about the situation in Gaza, specifically, the place and the area you are in right now.
Thank you, brother. It's my pleasure to be with you. The situation in Gaza is very terrifying after almost 230 days of continuous war and genocide. It is a total genocide. What we are seeing every day, bombing every day, attacking people, civilians every day. We are talking about more than 45,000 people are killed, 75% children, women and elderly people until now. And also we are talking about almost 60 to 65% of the infrastructure of Gaza is totally destroyed, and this is very huge number, which means that almost 2 million people of Gaza's residents are homeless after this war. So it's totally terrifying, and we can see humanitarian crisis everywhere, especially in the health sector, where we cannot find a proper health services. We are talking about almost 32 hospitals out of 36 are out of service. This is not to speak about the food crisis, especially after Rafah operation, where the main borders are being closed and the food supplies and the assistance that have been entering Gaza are now totally stopped. So people are in really need for food, for medicine, and for every kind of assistance. Currently, I am now staying in the middle area of Gaza. I live in Rafah. I'm a Rafah resident, but of course, I had to move and displace from my place in Rafah to this area. I'm currently speaking to you where I'm staying in a tent with my friends and relatives. Of course, on the personal level, it's really difficult to describe the situation, where you need to find safety and to bring your own needs, water supplies, electricity supplies, food supplies, everything you need to find on every morning. It's also very hard to say that there is a safe area where every inch is actually attacked by the Israelis. Yesterday, my sister-in-law, her husband's family were attacked. 16 persons were killed. 10 out of them are children. So it's totally sad, and it's totally difficult to live in this situation. We are hoping that this madness will stop. Let's see what will happen in the coming days.
Itu sedikit sebanyak perkongsian berkaitan dengan situasi di Gaza, yang mana keadaan di Rafah terutama khususnya, rakyat Palestin masih lagi mencari ruang keselamatan itu sekiranya masih lagi wujud di Gaza, dan juga setiap hari pengumuman itu berlaku. Semalam saja Dr. Abdullah maklumkan ada 16 rakyat Palestin telah pun meninggal dunia akibat serangan rejim Zionis, dan keadaan sangat memerlukan makanan yang sangat-sangat diperlukan di sana itu. Dan Dr. Abdullah, you also head of the shelter program in Gaza. We know that more than 1.5 million Palestinians are in Rafah currently, and it's very dense. Tell us more about the shelter program in Rafah area and how it has changed since Israel attacked Rafah.
Well, before Rafah operation, we had difficulty and a huge challenge in finding shelter solutions for people who are being displaced. As you said, we had 1.5 million displaced people in Rafah. Now we can talk about almost 2 million people are being displaced and distributed over the areas of Gaza, especially the middle area, Khan Yunis and Deir al-Balah. Currently, we need almost 250,000 tents to give those families. In our warehouses, we have zero. We don't have any tent to give anyone. So you can imagine how much difficult is the situation. In fact, we are out of options for shelter solutions. We don't have schools, for example, to bring in people. Most of our schools have been targeted by the Israelis. We don't have buildings. We don't have options. We don't have even local materials to make tents for the families. So currently, we don't have any option for shelter activities. Unfortunately, until now, the Rafah crossing is closed. Our partners and international organizations are sending tents, but of course they are not allowed to enter Gaza. So it's very challenging for us to provide any shelter for any family in Gaza right now.
Dr. Abdullah, we saw the news that the supplies of food and medical supplies were stopped by some Israelis at certain location. What's the situation like in terms of getting these supplies? Is it still coming into the Gaza area, or is it stopped completely, or what is the situation currently?
Now it is stopped. I mean, the food supply is totally controlled by the Israelis, and so far the Rafah crossing is not operating. So the food sources are only the local and what is left in the local market, which is very few. Again, the Gaza, the north of Gaza Strip is totally sieged by the Israelis. And we had a hunger strike before, and currently they are facing the same problem. They don't have enough food. But also in the south, the middle area and Khan Yunis and also Rafah, the food supplies are in a huge shortage. Because of the lack of supply, because of not allowing food to come to Gaza, to enter Gaza. The United Nations have been alarming since the day one of Rafah operation, because of course the new seaport by the U.S. Army is not enough, and it's been working for the last couple of days, but it's not enough. It's not sufficient. So we are expecting to see a hunger strike at any time. The other issue with the food supply is people are in a very poor situation. I mean, they don't have enough money to buy anything from the local markets. So they cannot even get their own food. I'm talking about small amounts of money. They don't have enough food. They don't have enough money to buy food. And even the United Nations and the World Food Program, they are actually out of food supplies. Their warehouses are almost finished. What is being distributed to the families is very few, and I'm afraid that we are facing another crisis related to food.
And Dr. Abdullah, the ICJ has, instructed Israel to stop its so-called vicious genocide, I would say, in Rafah. Of course, we know we are dealing with, unprecedented character of human being, and they don't really listen to anyone. But what's your take on the ICJ's latest verdict?
Well, we have followed the news, and it's a very important step and very important decision. It's much more clear than the previous decision to demand Israel to stop the Rafah operation, even it is incomplete, because what we need is to see total ceasefire. But anyway, the people here, the Palestinian, ordinary Palestinians, are very frustrated from the international organizations, ICJ and ICC, because at the end of the day, Israelis are not committed to any of these. They have been, even before the decision have been announced, the Israeli officials already announced that they are not going to follow or respect the decision, either politically or on the military side. So they already announced that they are not going to respond to the demand. So the operations are on the ground, continues as it is, even more intense. Yesterday, after the decision had been presented by the ICJ, Rafah had been bombed heavily at the same time. So what we are hoping to see this time is a real and serious position from the United Nations to push Israel to end this madness and to stop the military operation and to allow humanitarian assistance to Gaza.
There is very frustrated situation right now in Gaza. And Dr. Abdullah, we've seen a lot of, not a lot, but a few European countries start to encourage Palestinian state even more than the Arab countries. At least that what we've seen as an outsider. How do you see support momentum from European countries in the eyes of the Palestinian right now? We just received the news a few days ago about the Spain, Ireland and Norway giving support to the Palestinian as a state and recognize the Palestinian. What do you say about this?
Of course, this is a very important step, and it shows and reflects the change in the global opinion when it comes to the Palestinian conflict. But anyway, Palestine is recognized by almost 140 countries. Of course, most of them are African, Asian, and Latin America. Having European countries on board is very important. It shows also that the Israeli narrative is not being accepted anymore. And it shows that the world leaders and the governments are changing their position towards the Palestinians to find a practical solution rather than talking here and there and making conferences. But on the ground, Israelis are stealing the land and building settlements and killing the Palestinians on a daily basis. So this recognition is very important. What we really need to see is more recognition of the Palestinian rights for us to have our own state and independent state where Jerusalem as its capital. So it's a very important step. Palestinians here in Gaza were happy to hear the news that countries like Spain, Ireland, and Norway are recognizing Palestine. Of course, we need to work on more on diplomatic arena to have more countries on board, of course, to push for a practical and just solution for the Palestinians.
And Dr. Abdullah, can you explain to us the relationship between Fatah and Hamas right now in the situation of the war?
I think all Palestinian factions are united against the Israeli killing machine. What we see in Gaza is totally terrifying, but also our brothers in the West Bank are facing same crimes and genocide. And so people, I mean, Palestinian factions, Palestinian leaders, and almost every party is united against this Israeli apartheid and genocide. We are hoping that because before there have been lots of disputes between political parties, but this time we are hoping to see much more united position and much more united institutions. We are hoping that Palestinians can reach a united government where every institution and every leader can work on the same page, on one political agenda, on one political plan for one national goal. I think we are much more closer to have a united position rather than divisions and split here and there.
Dr. Abdullah, on behalf of Malaysians, I would like to say that our thoughts and prayers are with Palestinians all the time, and we, lend our help, and we continue to lend our help in any means possible, any way possible for us. In fact, my colleague here, Afizah Zaman, was in Egypt recently, to try to give the aid via Rafah borders, and as we know that Rafah borders were closed. And last but not least, before we close our conversation, Dr. Abdullah, do you have anything to say and to tell Malaysians, especially who are listening right now? It's not just about the situation in Gaza, but the plea to continue to support Palestinians in any way we can.
Yes, of course. I've been in Malaysia for 5 years, almost 5 years, and I know the Malaysian brothers and sisters. And I know how much empathy and solidarity you are showing and giving to the Palestinians. It's very highly respected. And I only would ask for more prayers and for more solidarity. If I had a message, I would call upon the Malaysian youth. We really need your active presence and involvement on social media, in universities, in sports, and outside, overseas. We really need to see your participation in changing the world perception about the conflict of Palestine, and also activating for the Palestinian narrative. What's happening in the American universities is very important. Reaching out to them and getting others on board is also very important. And I think the Malaysian youth are very intellectual and highly educated, and they have the skill to do so. Secondly, I would also like to emphasize on the role of BDS Malaysia, which is a very significant platform that put direct pressure on the Israeli side throughout the global movement of boycott. I hope everybody can join BDS Malaysia and activities where they can be part of this noble and wide network. Lastly, I also would like to say that Malaysia can play a direct role in assisting Gazans throughout many ways, especially sending medicine, food, and also shelter, like you have been doing many times. In fact, there is an urgent need, and I believe the Malaysian government and the Malaysian NGOs are doing a great job in supporting the Palestinians. What is being done by your guest, brother Jismi, and his colleagues is one major example. So I would only invite you to continue and continue your prayers, and of course, at the end of the day, Palestine will be free, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdullah Waleed, for your opinion and share with us the report and situation about Gaza and Palestinian right now. Thank you so much, Dr. Abdullah.